So anyways, I started thinking, so I apologize for that. I didn't realize how much I was sniffling yesterday. I have toilet paper here today, just in case I needed to blow my nose during the show. But it got me thinking about a few different things. And one of them was the fact that I haven't really been sick in a long time. And I think that there's a few reasons for that. And it got me thinking about sickness and illness and just health overall, and how much healthier Bitcoiners seem to be than the fiat world. And there's a new book that came out. I don't know if it's a new book, but it's a book that a lot of people have been talking about, called Fiat Food. And so there's a couple obvious ones in terms of Bitcoiners being healthier, just like as a whole. And I'm sure that there are Bitcoiners out there who bought Bitcoin back in 2013 and they're billionaires right now, and they just sit in their house in their basement playing Call of Duty and eating fast food every day. So there are Bitcoiners who are unhealthy. I'm not trying to speak in absolutes here, but the Bitcoin community itself, I think, is a very healthy community for a lot of people. And a couple examples is just the food. There's a very big focus on high quality food for Bitcoiners, and people are willing to pay more for higher quality foods. I think that's one of the themes within the Bitcoin community, is the motivation and the drive to eat better, eat steak. It's just two totally different dynamics, it seems, compared to fiat world. But the other one is an example of the push-ups. There was a trend on nostr for a while where people were doing 100 push-ups a day until the Bitcoin price hit 100,000. And so I started doing it as well myself, and I've been doing it ever since then. I started doing 135 per day, or most days anyways, not per day, but most days, for the Canadian version of it, the Canadian equivalent of the push-ups. And it slowly went to 150, and the sets are fewer and the reps are more. And it's a very slow process here, but me compared to when I started doing it, I'm a lot stronger. And it was a Bitcoin initiative. But those are a couple obvious ones. But if you think about it, if you really think about the work dynamic that a lot of people, I think, are used to, people go to work, and I can speak from experience here, because I worked for like 20 years, 100 different jobs, but it was the last job that I had. And I kind of want to speak on it quickly, and I hope I don't offend anybody here, because I actually loved working there. I love the people there. I liked what I did. I didn't love it, but it just seems like a very toxic environment for me. And I'm sure it would differ company to company, but I think the whole structure of it itself is very toxic. And I kind of want to explain it here a little bit in terms of what I came up with. But if you think about a typical day in the office for most people, and like I said, I'm speaking from experience here, because this is kind of what I went through for 10 years in an office setting. People wake up 10 minutes before they need to be at work. They drive there as fast as they can. Very stressful. They get to work. They check their emails for a couple hours. A lot of it's just nothing. Respond to some. Go for coffee. What do you do at coffee? You usually just bitch about different things happening in the world, happening at work. Bitch about your boss. Bitch about your other coworkers who are doing stuff that you don't like. Very toxic. Then you go back, do an hour of work, maybe good work. Go for lunch, spend some money. And then in the afternoon, you kind of get some stuff done. But for the most part, like, you don't do a whole lot of work. You're mostly just like looking at the clock, waiting to be somewhere else. And that adds up over the course of your life. Imagine doing that for 40 or 45 years, every single day of your life. And if you compare it to, and I think that that's why people are so stressed out. I think that that's why there's so much negativity in the world. It just has the structure of it, where there's a bunch of employees working for almost nothing. There's a couple managers there who are monitoring these employees. And then there's the bosses who are sucking all the profits out of everybody. And people like to say there's pyramid schemes online. There's multi-marketing, or whatever they're called, pyramid schemes. Every business is literally a pyramid scheme in that sense. But the other part of it too is that with that, and it's not all bad. I'm not trying to say that everybody should work from home. Everybody should do their own thing. That's not what I'm saying here, because I think that there are a lot of positives to being face to face with somebody, and the energy there, the collaboration, the ideas, the things that you can come up with, that happens more so in person than it does through a screen. No doubt about that. But I just think that it's the structure of it itself. So, and I think that that's why Bitcoin is such a unique and totally different community, because Bitcoiners are doing the same kind of thing. They're just not working for a boss. There's nobody at the top of the Bitcoin. There's no pyramid there. So there's nobody at the top pulling the strings that people are bitching out about. It's just people working together, collaborating, and building together for a common goal. That's essentially what's happening in the Bitcoin world right now compared to fiat. And so with myself, it's like, okay, and I don't know how this is going to sound. This is kind of what I was thinking in my head. But you think about that. You think about the office structure, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. I don't know if it's just me, but for the most part, people don't accomplish a whole lot in a day at work. So for me, ever since I started doing my own business, doing my own things, like I probably do twice the amount of stuff. And some people would argue, well, it's not, it's not hard work, which whatever. I mean, everybody has their own version of that, but it's work. And it's stuff that I do from the second I wake up till a lot of days, the second I go to bed. There's just so much, because when you have your own business, you're the marketer, you're the accountant, you're the invoicer, you're the everything there. So my workload has actually doubled, but for some reason I'm much less stressed. And I think it's because of that structure, that the toxicity there is gone. I think that has a really negative impact on a lot of people's lives, is just that work structure that a lot of people have. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in terms of the work aspect of it. There's the food, the quality, and then there's the home too. I think that, having my own business, doing my own thing, I don't make as much as I did in terms of money. I don't know what it is compared to what I was making at work, but it's not as much yet. But at the same time, I don't spend as much on bullshit. Like, this is the fiat world. Every single day at work, I would go for lunch. I would spend $20. I'd get a meal out. I didn't have time to go home for lunch, or I did, but I didn't really want to drive 20 minutes to get there and back. So I would go out. I would spend $50 and $20 every single day, and I think that's just the mentality of people who are in that system. I didn't want to save any money. I had money in my bank account, so I was just going to go and spend it. And so the reason for that is because in the fiat world, there's no incentive to save. Your dollar every single day is getting weaker. It's losing value every day. So why would you hold any of that? Why would you store any of that cash? So even though I'm making less money now, I have more, and I'm spending less on just dumb shit. And I know for a fact that there's people in this chat who can relate to that. So that's one. The dollar goes further, Bitcoin goes further. Whatever you're working on, whether it's your business, you're building equity in that, it goes a lot further than just like there's so many people out there who they could be making $500,000 a year, or they could be making $50,000 a year, and they could live the same, but they would just be buying much less dumb shit. In the fiat world, the more you make, the more you spend. There are exceptions to that. There's anomalies there for sure. But at the same time, that's the general logic there, is you spend it as soon as you get it. Not a whole lot of people save their money because the fiat dollar is worthless. And that has a big impact on your time preference too. Hardly anybody saves in the old system. And in Bitcoin, everybody saves. Nobody wants to spend their Bitcoin. We're going to have to spend it eventually, but everybody's saving their money. They're thinking about the future instead of what they can do with their money tomorrow, what they can buy on Amazon today, how many golf balls they can buy from Golf Town today because they got an extra $200 bonus this month from work. It's stuff that people don't need, and they're just wasting their whole life and spending their whole life buying things that they don't need to impress people that they don't really give a shit about. So the point of all this, and I'm going to go through some comments here because I see some good ones in here, but the point of all this, I'm not telling you to leave your job today. I'm telling you to start thinking about a path to leave. because we're moving into a world where AI is going to replace a lot of employees. It's going to happen slowly, but also very quickly. And I think that everybody should be thinking about what they can do if they were to start a business, if money wasn't an option, what they would be doing, and start taking steps towards that, whether that's in the morning or at night or on the weekends, whatever that is, or at work. I mean, if you have the ability to start building a business while you're working, I think that that's the best case scenario. Your bosses probably won't love that too much, but I think that every single person here listening to this should be thinking about that, should be starting to make your moves, starting to think about what you can do and setting your direction there, because that's where we're heading to. And I think that the thing that you can do at this point is just start preparing for that. Sorry, I'm just doing something quickly here. Okay, there we go. So I see a couple comments here. Ninja says, I wish I worked for myself. I mean, don't stop wishing. Start doing it. There's never been a time in history with more opportunity than there is today. There's not. And especially if you're building something in Bitcoin where you're earning Bitcoin, you're interacting with other Bitcoiners from around the world, you're buying and selling products with your Bitcoin, just start doing it. It's not something that you're just going to flip a switch and decide you want to do your own thing. You have to make steps towards that. But don't wait for it, because the more you wish for it, the more time you spend wishing, the less time you spend doing it. And Chico says, usually when you quit a 9-to-5, you end up working 24/7. That is true. It's different though. And I talked about the fact that there's, having your own business means that you're every department pretty much. You're the HR, you're the payroll, you're the accounts payable, the accounts receivable, the marketer, the sales team, the accountant, the bookkeeper. It's a lot. But at the same time, it's very worth it. And we're moving into a world where that's going to be the case for a lot of people. And so what you need to be doing today is just start making slow steps towards that. Whatever, if you're working a job right now, that's fine. You need to eat. You need to keep a roof over your head, but just start slowly making progress towards doing your own thing. There's a nice comment. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Rick says if El Salvador are getting out of debt because of Bitcoin doesn't wake you up, then I don't know what will. I agree. My Path to Fire says toxicity in corporate environment is off the scales. It's not only the fact that you're working for that kind of a structure, but it's the fact that you're earning a dollar that's losing value by the day. And it's just the cycle. It's never ending. And so if you do have a chance, if this is something that you want to pursue, then I would say just start today. Start making slow steps towards it. All that you can do.